Skittles and Jelly Spoons, welcome back to Badgerworks. Today, this. This is one of my son's airsoft rifles. This is a CYMA VSS Vintorez. It's the Russian sort of DMR / sniper rifle with the integrated suppressor. We bought this a while ago and we've had a couple of issues with it which have been repaired under warranty. The warranty has just expired and naturally it's broken again. So this time I'm going to have to try and fix it. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get on with it. So the problem is it appears that there's something wrong with the trigger. If I just take the safety off, the trigger is, which it shouldn't be doing. So what I'm going to have to do is take the gearbox out and see if I can figure out what the problem is. So let's see how we get on with this. I'll try and keep this under the camera as much as I can, but I think we'll have to see how we get on with it. I have actually taken this apart once before, because when we bought this, I think you can probably tell from there's some red spots, it was two-toned when we got it. And I have previously taken the stock and the suppressor off and the top cover and painted them black, because prior to that they were red. I just got to remember how it comes apart now. Oh. Right, that's the top cover. Now, as I recall, I need to knock these. There's 3 pins here that need to be knocked out that hold the stock on. There's a screw here, and then there's 3 pins that need to come out. So let me see if I can get these pins out first. Now, as I recall, there's a screw inside there that needs to come out. This is the trouble with this thing, is it's a mix of like various different, like Allen keys, Torx fasteners, normal screws, pins, and all kinds of other different things. And it's it makes it kind of awkward to get apart. Right, that's that. Now I've got to knock these pins out. And there's an Allen key in there. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Alright, that's that, and I think that should come off now. Yeah. So, just got to get the. That's the stock. Okay, now the next question is, what holds this gearbox in? Let's see if we can get this out. It's kind of funny how bits of this work. It's like this spring here that is just for the fake bolt is basically held on exactly the same way as the normal recoil spring on a normal AK. So it's kind of funny, really. Now, what holds this gearbox in? Now, there's a big pin there. I suspect that has something to do with it. Right, let's knock that pin out. That can come out of there. Now I'm going to need to take the safety catch off. Now, how does this come off? That's the question. Is that screwed on or is it just pressed on? I might have to take the barrel off as well, actually. Let's take the barrel off first, because I think that will go a long way towards... That's a different size again, because of course it is. What size is that one? Right. This is going to come twanging off in a second, you watch. There we go. Right. That's the suppressor off. Just got to be careful of this barrel now, not to damage it. Now, we've got 2 screws in there. Let's take those out. I may well be taking far more of this apart than I actually need to, but having never stripped it down this far before, I don't quite know how much of it I need to take off. Right, how does that come off? Oh, I see, that's holding everything on. Right, so there are 2 screws here. I'm going to take those out. So I've just got to be careful not to bend the barrel, because that's not going to do it any favours at all. Right, there's... Oh. One. That's 2. Now we're getting somewhere. Right, that's the barrel off, which also makes me feel a lot better about not having to worry about bending it or breaking it. So now we need to get the gearbox out, and I think the only thing holding it in now is likely the safety catch. And like I say, I don't know if this part here unscrews. On the older AKs, this was just like pressed on. I don't know if this one is pressed on or whether it's screwed on. Let me get a pair of pliers. Okay, let's see if we can get this off. Right, it looks like it's screwed on. So I thought it probably was, because the edges of it are knurled, which normally suggests it's screwed on. So let's just unscrew that. Oh, I see, it's a screw that goes right through. Okay, and then we can take this safety off. And now let's see if we can get this out without everything going twang. So yeah, that's going to come out now. That's good. There we go. Right, and there's the receiver. Okay, so let's see if we can get this apart now. Let's take that off and take that off. Now this is the problem here. Now you see that's not going click click anymore. Although it does look to me like there's a oh no, it's just a bit of fluff. I thought it was a broken spring, but I think it's just a bit of fluff. See, that's not going clack clack anymore, which is what it was doing before. Let's just pop this back in here and pop that back on there. It seems like it's something to do with the safety. Because if I take this off, that's interesting. If I take the safety off, the trigger moves quite freely. That's interesting, because that's the safe position, because that basically on, I don't know if you can see that, there's a little little bit on the back there that sits above the trigger, and when the safety catch is on, it blocks the trigger, and then when this part is in place like that, when you move it, and that seems like it's catching on something. Because that's moving quite freely, as it should. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a battery and I'm going to try this and see if it actually fires. So let me go and get a battery, I'll be back in a sec. Right, so I've got a battery. Let's plug this on and see what happens. Well, that works. Which it wasn't before. Okay, let's put the safety back on. Right, that should block the trigger, which it does. Yeah, see, that's what it was doing. There's something amiss here. So there's something wrong going on with this safety catch, and I'm not quite sure what it is. So that's the safe position, that's locked. That should be semi, and somewhere in the middle here should be full auto. Right. But what is wrong with it? That is the question. What is wrong with this? Yes. This is the problem I have with these kind of things, is I can I think I've mentioned before, I was an engineer for a long time, and so I can usually look at things and figure out how they work. but airsoft guns have always been a bit of a mystery to me. So that's the selector. So that's semi-auto. That's full auto. And I think that, so yeah, so basically like the default setting seems to be full auto. So even with this all the way forwards, it still fires full auto. But of course, when it's got this on it, that blocks the trigger so that it can't shoot. So that makes sense. Okay, so what is happening when this safety catch is applied? That's the question. I must admit, I'm tempted just to put this back together and see what happens. At least just put this back in the receiver and see what happens, because I'm really not sure quite what the problem is. Let's pop this back in here. Like that. And then put that screw back in. Oh, probably help if I put the... Right, that goes like that because that's in the safe position. And then we'll drop that back in there and do up the screw. Right, reattach the battery. And let's see what happens. So that should be safe, which it is. That's full auto. Yes, I confess I am now somewhat mystified why this had stopped working. But it seems to be working now, so I think what I'm going to do is put it back together and just see what happens. Right, well, it's back together. I've got a battery in there, and seems to be working fine. So I honestly have no idea what was wrong with it. The only thing I can think is something got stuck inside it, and by me taking it apart and putting it back together, it's freed it up. So that's, I think, about as good as we're going to get with it. So yeah, there you go. I'd also like to take a quick moment to thank my top tier patrons, Amy, Edwin and Howard, for their continued support. It's, as always, much appreciated. And indeed for all of my patrons who have stuck with me during what is a rather difficult time. Anyway, this is back together. I've just got to put the sight mount back on. That will only take a second. And my son can go back to using it for his airsoft. So yeah, I appreciate this was a bit of a weird one, but hopefully it was of interest to some of you. And again, you're always free to join us in the staff canteen on Facebook, and as ever, if you're feeling flush and you fancy supporting me on Patreon, it'd be much appreciated. But yeah, anyway, in any case, hopefully this has been of interest to some of you, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers. Bye.